Good afternoon. I am Dr. Aarti Puri, Assistant Professor, Department of Engineering and Technology. Welcome you all in my second lecture. In previous lecture, we studied cycle of communication and meaning of communication. In today's class, we will discuss about topic models. You all must have heard about or learnt about this topic in your previous classes, but today we will discuss in detail. Right? So, what are models? Basically, models are those helping verbs that are used to express modality. Modality means like ability, permission, compulsion, polite request, permission, command, threat, promise, etc. Now, models are used not according to the subject, they are used according to the mood and situation of the sentence. If there is a mood of compulsion, we can use must. If there is a mood of possibility, we can use may, might, like that. Okay, today we will study what are basically models and how many types of models are there. First of all, we take, there are principal models. What are principal models? First, can, then, could, next, will, would, next is shall, should, and the last is may and might. These 8 are principal models: can, could, will, would, shall, should, may and might. Now, apart from these 8 models, we have some more models or helping auxiliaries. Those are ought to, dare, need. Basically, these are very important models. They are used according to the situation and mood of the sentence. Now, let's take each one by one. First, we will take the example of can. Can is used to express ability, and in ability we have 2 types of ability. First, physical. Next one is mental ability. For example, let's take the example of physical ability. I can lift this box. This is the example of physical ability, and now let's take the example of mental ability. I can learn the whole book. This is an example of mental ability. So, can is used to express physical ability and mental ability. Now, let's move on to another use of can. Another use of can is to take permission. Basically, not formal permission, it's informal permission. If we are seeking permission from a friend or a colleague, then we can say, for example, can I take your pen? This is an example of informal permission, right? If in this we need not to follow some kind of protocol or some formality. So, to express informal permission, we use can. Next, possibility. Can is also used to express possibility. It may happen or it may not happen. For example, she can come. She can or she cannot. So, there is a possibility. So, can is used to express possibility also. Now, let's move on to another model, that is could. Could. Could is past form of can. Past form of can. And it is used to express past ability basically. Past ability. For example, I could learn the whole book when I was young. It means the ability or the capacity or the caliber we have in the past to express those abilities or those caliber or potential, we use could. For example, I could learn the whole book when I was young. Now, the another use is polite request. When we are requesting to someone who is elder than us or who is at the senior position from us, in that case, to making a request in that case, we use could. For example, could I take your permission? It is very polite kind of request, right? Another example we can take, could you lend me some money? These are the examples of polite request. When we want to make a very polite request, we will use could. Now, next is there is a very important use of could is that is used to express imaginary condition. Imaginary condition. What does it mean? Imaginary condition means if this may happen, this will happen. But it's completely imaginary. No reality in this, right? For example, let's take the example. If I were a bird, I could fly. Right? If I were a bird, this is completely imaginary situation, condition. So, I could fly. This can't be possible, right? So, to express this imaginary condition, could can be used, and this is a dependent clause. This is principal clause, I could fly, and if I were a bird, that is dependent clause. So, in this we are expressing an imaginary condition. If this may happen, this will happen. Okay? Now, let's move on to another model, that is may. May is a very popular kind of model. You use it in your daily day-to-day conversation also. So, first and foremost use of may is to take permission. When you enter in the class, what do you say? Ma'am, may I come in? So, this is a kind of formal permission. So, first and foremost use of may is to make formal permission. And the very common example of this is, may I come in? Next, may is also used to express possibility, right? Possibility. But a weak possibility means up to 50% of possibility if is there, then we can use may. For example, it may rain today. So there is a 50% possibility that it may rain today according to the cloud or according to the weather. Now let's move on to another use, that is wish. May is used to express wish. For example, may God bless you. That is a wish. We usually do, right? So wish, may God bless you. Next, may is also used to give curse. When you are cursing someone, right? In that case, we also can use may. For example, may you go into the hell. What we are doing in this sentence? We are cursing someone. So, when we want to express wish or curse, we will use may. Okay. Now, let's move to the another use of may. That is hope. When we are hoping something, then in that case, we will use may. For example, may your dreams come true. Right? So, we are hoping that dreams come true. In that case, we use may. When we want to express hope, then may will be used. Now, next, and the last use of may is to express fear. When we want to express feeling of fear, in that case, we use may. For example, something wrong may happen. What we are doing in this sentence? We are expressing some kind of fear that there is a possibility of happening something wrong, right? So, something wrong may happen. When we want to express hope and fear, may will be used. These are the uses of may. Let's move on to another model, that is might. Might. Might is a past form of may. Past form of may. That is used to express possibility. May is also used to express possibility and might is also used to express possibility. Let's see what is the difference between these two. Possibility. Like, it might rain today. When we are saying it might rain today, we have a possibility or probability 30 to 35%, right? And if we are using may, it may rain today, then chances of happening rain is 50%. So, this is the difference between might and may. When there is weak possibility, we will use might, and there is much greater possibility, then we will use may. But may is again express the weak possibility. In this case, 30 to 35%, but in case of may, we express possibility up to 50%. Now, the next is polite request. Polite request. Just like could, might is also used to express polite request. For example, might I take your car? When you are asking for some kind of favor, you have to make a request from the person you are seeking it. right? So in that case, we have to make a polite request, and might is also used to express that polite request. For example, might I take your car? Now, next is purpose. Purpose. What is the purpose of doing a particular task? For example, let's take the example. I left this job so that I might take rest. So, what is the main purpose of leaving the job is to take rest. So, here we are expressing a purpose. When we do that, when we want to express a purpose, might can be used. Say, here is the example, I left this job because I might take rest. Now, these are some uses of might. Now, let's move on to another model, that is will. In journal future, we use will, but we usually use will with second person and third person pronoun. In simple future. For example, he will go to school. This is the simplest kind of affirmative future statement, right? He will go to school. Will is used to express simple future tense. Now, let's move on to another use of it. Usually, with second or third person, we use will. But there are some conditions or there are some moods or situation for that we will use will with first person pronoun, that is I and we. When we use will with I and we want to express or we wish to express the following condition. First of all, what is the first condition? That is when you are making a promise. In that case, you will use will with I or we. I will come to your house. This is not simple future statement, because in simple future statement, what usually we do? We use second person or third person pronoun here. But in case will is used as a model, in that case when we are making promise, then we will use will with I or we. For example, I will come to your house. In the sentence, what we are doing? We are expressing a promise that definitely I will come to your house. Now, next one is threat. When we are threatening someone, we are making threat to someone. In that case, we will use will with I and we. For example, I will see you in court. It means this is not a journal affirmative statement. This means I will see you in the court. It means the person is making threat to the person whom he or she is talking, right? So, promise, threat. Next is willingness, or you can say willingness or intention. When we want to express our wish or willingness or intention, we use will. For example, I will join army. It means it is my intention, it is my willingness to join army. So, in that case, we use will with I or we. Next, determination. If we are determined to do something, to express that feeling or express that mood, we use will with I or we. For example, let's take the example. We will finish this project within a week. It means we are very much determined to do or to complete this work within a limited duration or limited tenure. So, when we are determined, we use will with I or we, right? So, these are some uses of will. For example, promise, threat, willingness, intention, determination. These are some uses of will. Now, let's move on to another model, that is would. Would. So, what is would? Would is a past form of will, right? So, first use of would is polite request. See, there are so many models that are used to express polite request, right? It is up to you, right? So, first is an example of would is polite request. For example, would you like to have some tea? If you are making a request, you are offering something to someone. In that case, you are making a very polite request. In that case, we use would. And this is an example of would. There can be so many examples. Would you mind if I take your pen? It means you are requesting someone to asking for a favor. Let's take the another example. Would you like to share your book with me? These are the example of polite request. Now, next, habitual action. But habitual action in past. If there is a habit of doing something but not in the present, in the past, to express that habitual action, we use would. For example, they would sit here for hours watching waves. It means this habit is not in present but in past. They would sit here for hours watching waves. So, to express a habitual action of past, we use would, right? Now, let's move on to another example. Some symbolic kind of behavior. Symbolic behavior. For example, when I was a child, I would play with marble balls. This is a symbolic behavior, right? Very characteristic behavior. When I was young or when I was in my childhood, I do this, I do that. That is a very characteristic behavior. So, when we are expressing a characteristic behavior or some symbolic behavior, we use would. For example, when I was a child, I used to play with, I would play with marble balls, right? So, this is a very characteristic behavior. So these are some principal model and their uses. They express possibility, polite request, determination, wish, willingness, intention. In our next class, definitely we will do some more example of this. Thank you so much.